bought a pension 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him, and 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. We're live, the 6th day of the month of May. It is 9:30-ish, and we are live. Looking forward to finding out what's on your mind, and more importantly, just finding out what's going on out here and what's happening in your neck of the woods. So, as always, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk. And so, let's check in and see who's tuning in thus far. As always, if you are new to the channel, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to give you a shout out here in the chat, or there's a number above my head, 313-462-0027. Give me a call, and let's talk. So let me make sure the volume is up so I can hear. Other than that, let me see what's going on, who's tuning in thus far. Spirit King, how you doing, my friend? Student of life. We got Maria. Trump 2020. We got Lennox says, hi, Mike. Jared Mass, I need to save the number so I can speed dial on talk about tariffs. Jeff, he says, hi, Mike. What did you think of the China tariffs? So let's talk about the tariffs there. So, of course, it's interesting how, we have pretty much the only president that utilizes social media for his own good, as far as putting out news first before it hits the mainstream circuits. And so, of course, not surprised. I really question his approach. And he, I don't understand it, I must admit, the fact that he's continued to put pressure on China, which I guess is a good thing because he's approaching it as like, he's expecting to have some type of deal cut soon. It looks like he's trying to get something cut before this whole presidential election is well underway. So his approach, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think it's all part of the plan because once again, if you continue to put pressure on China the way he has been doing, you put them in a corner, you put them in a very tight position where they are forced to make some somewhat tough decisions in reference to how they continue to do business with us. And more importantly, by them being one of our primary creditors and us continue to run deficits and will need to run deficits for the foreseeable future, it's good to say eventually he's going to basically cause them to just, leave the treasuries as well as a dollar and really cause some problems for us in the long run. But I think that's part of his plan. So as far as those goods, he's going to add those tariffs too. I did some commentary earlier on it, and it basically all the things that we have become privileged to utilize and to receive at a very cheap price. So it definitely has to go up in price. And then at the end of the day, the tariffs will cause major disruptions with employment. And so actually, if you guys have not, I think it's on Fox News, Fox Business, either one, but Warren Buffett basically mentioned about if the U.S. or Trump doesn't really figure this out, it's going to come back to hurt American workers. And the fact that Warren Buffett referred to pretty much saying that American workers will be considered roadkill in this back and forth debate of trying to balance out, the trade. And so not sure what's going on with this, not sure how it's going to end, but it will play into more job layoffs because if you have all these companies that aren't very profitable, their cost of operations go up because of this trade back and forth. You have no choice but to lay off, man. And that's what's going to come back to bite everybody in the butt, I believe. But we will see how it all plays out. And more importantly, what are your thoughts on that? Feel free to call in or let me know in the chat. But the people that gets hurt the most will be workers, especially those that are in the warehouse, in the manufacturing, what little we do have left. Yeah. So what else is going on here? It says, hello, Mike, Rod, Hop. How you doing from the NC, North Carolina? Looks like Linux. It says, Mike, do you have more info on the Carrot Bar coin? Linux. As far as information is concerned, from, July 4th through the program or whatnot, that's when the KBC coin will be redeemable. And so it'll be, as of now, to date, as at that time frame, it's going to be 100 KBC coins will get you 1 gram of gold as far as you've been able to redeem that. And then as time goes on, it lessens. So it'll be, I think it's 75 KBCs get you 1 gram. And the goal is, I think by 2023 or something, to have it at 1-to-1 as far as being able to redeem for a gram of gold rather. So that's kind of like the time frame in a nutshell. Brian, it says, how long have you been doing Silver Doctors? Just noticing a few days ago. So Brian, good question. Let me see here. About a month now, directly working content, but as affiliate for quite some time now. And so going to be there, doing work there for the next couple of months, weeks or whatnot, and see how it goes there, man. But I'm really enjoying having a chance to work with those guys there. It's a good group there, so definitely enjoy that. So if you guys have not, make sure you guys go to silverdoctors.com or Silver Doctors YouTube channel, subscribe there, and that's why I'll be doing more of my commentary similar to what I've done here over there. What else it says? Twitter is how he bypasses fake news media. Dano, very true. And it works, it's effective, but it's one of the things where, what's his end objective? And I know he wants to get the best deal. He's made that clear. And, it's all in the name of making America great again or putting America first. But he has to, I'm assuming he realizes this, but every deal that's been done has positioned us in the position where we can still borrow and utilize our credit. And so everything we do as a nation is based upon credit. So by him trying to redo these deals, he's basically not only threatening our future lending abilities, but more so, hell, we pumped out trillions upon trillions of Federal Reserve notes just scattered across this country as obligation, as liabilities to all these goods and services we're receiving. So by him messing with that, he jeopardizes our ability to continue to borrow if he plans on borrowing from China as well as everybody else that buys our treasuries. But I do believe, and I was actually talking to Alistair McLeod today, and he was saying how, at the end of the day, I don't think the dollar is really his biggest concern. He's not really concerned with keeping the dollar as the primary reserve currency or medium of exchange. And so, yeah, more information on that coming out soon. So, but yeah, man, that's where it's at now. But as always, feel free to let me know what you think. And so I got some more questions here. I got an article here. It says, Trump has been lying about trade talks for 11 months. China will not cave. Trump is now their scapegoat for any future China problems. Yeah, Pat, I don't doubt it. And as we saw today, especially the global equities market all did some really volatile type of moves today, just because of all this talks and fears of companies losing out, missing out, costs are going up. So yeah, none of this fare well for nations that are sitting heavy on dollars, in my opinion. But we have an article here, so let me find out. Let me see what we got here. This is from Mr. Jeff, and it says, Fidelity will start institutional Bitcoin trading within weeks. Interesting. So once again, everything seems to be quite timely in that, as there's so many questionable things happening with trade, national currencies, debt. We have institutions now that's about to be allowed into the trading game. And so I assume Fidelity will be having actual coins in their possession as opposed to futures and all that stuff. But it says $7 trillion investment. $7 trillion investment from Fidelity will reportedly roll out Bitcoin trading for institutionals in the coming weeks. On May 6th, reported on May 6th, it says, citing a source who asked to remain anonymous, the publication revealed Fidelity's cryptocurrency-focused spinoff, Fidelity, the investors would be adding existing range of services. So this could be that doorway for all of the hedge funds / retirement portfolios, all the institutional money that people have been talking about for quite some time now. This could be a doorway to that, which could lead to prices increasing in the cryptocurrency market. So definitely for those that are in that line of asset there, it could be some good news for you. Definitely could be some good news for you. Jeff, appreciate you sharing that, my friend. And also, what else is going on here? Is also the number above my head, 313-462-0027. Don't be afraid to call in. We'd love to hear your voice. Tony, how you doing? We got Donald. It says, Mike, the debtor and the creditor are not equal. Trump and his ego are leading the nation to disaster. He is forcing China's hand, and in the end, can't win. Donald, I agree 100%. And so that's what I was mentioning earlier about, we can't really bite the hand that, I guess I can't say feeds us, but we can't bite the hand or slap the hand that continues to support us by actually by lending us. And so they're our creditor. So, and what's the biblical saying that said the creditor is servant to the lender. So right now we're trying to boss up on China because they're actually they're providing us goods. I mean, I'll pull up this article that actually shows how lopsided. Let me see if I can find it. I'll show you how lopsided this deal is, and all China's receiving is basically debt instruments. And so here's what it looks like. It says why the U.S.-China trade deficit is so huge. Here's all the stuff America imports. And so just this list here, all this red is basically things that we receive from China. So everything out, and so basically if you look around your house, everything that you probably have that's some type of technology, your TV, your computer, whatever you're watching me from, it originates in China. So once again, if we go over there trying to call shots and boss them around, all they have to do is basically either spike the prices up on there, or as they're already doing, they're shifting everything that they are produced to other nations, and they're probably going to do it to where they don't necessarily have to receive dollars in return. And so out of all the goods we receive, computer and electronics, $186 billion. So we send them debt instruments, they send us goods and services, and we're telling them how we need to balance this out. And my thing will be, of course, this is probably way over my pay grade, but I'm looking at this stuff in the blue here. What can we really send them that's of value the way that we receive from them? Because we're a consuming nation. Everything we do is about, most of the stuff is bought on credit anyway, but yet all we do is consume on this side, and we produce very little, but we're trying to have them balance things out. And so, yeah, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out for our favor, because all they have to do is just say, basically, we're not going to be able to fund you no more if you're going to continue to play hardball. And then what? Basically, at the end of the day, the Federal Reserve will be stuck with having to monetize, and that's basically that MMT, or just continuous of kind of quantitative easing, which is what they're already doing. And that spells trouble for our currency anyway, because if there's no one actually buying it but the institution that creates the digits in the first place, what will make other nations want to continue to hold counterfeit money in their reserves? And then that will lead me to wonder, for you, would you still be, really excited about holding counterfeit money in your accounts as well, knowing that they're printing it out of nowhere to fund our liabilities and responsibilities? And yeah, but anyway, as you guys see, I'm ranting, so forgive me. I get a little carried away at times. But let me know what you think. I could be completely off, and I'm more than okay with that. So what else we got going on here? It says, Jack says, party. Pat, hi, Tony, how are you? What's going on? It says the message here. Got another article here. Let's see what this is about. Let's see what this one is about. Okay, here we have another interesting article here. And so this one here says America's $1.6 trillion student debt crisis triggers suicidal thoughts. Really? Ah, man, that's wow, that's never a good thing. I'm gonna leave that to myself. But let's look at this a little further here. I'll make it a little bigger. It says there are currently 44 million student loan borrowers who are owing approximately $1.6 trillion in student debt. Student loan borrowers are feeling the pressure of insurmountable debts as the economy slows, wages stagnate, and borrowing costs rise. So here's another thing, which I think I've mentioned this before, but as it says here, as the economy slows, this trade situation here doesn't really help because it puts employers in a very tight spot, especially if your employer is in the manufacturing business of some kind, whether supplier or who knows. If your employer, especially if it's an international company that does business on several continents, things will slow up a lot faster because everything is more so interconnected. Everyone kind of has their hands in some plate one another to where everything's interconnected. So if say, for example, like I always mention, manufacturing automobiles, because here, Motor City Capital, no one's buying cars now. No one's buying trucks especially. So once that slows down, then everything connected to that, all the suppliers, all the this and that, and the what's it called? We got a large amount of headhunters and recruiting agencies in this area because of the big three. So all those starts to lay off, and so this stuff right here really hurts because in order to get these high income jobs now, you need a master's. So if you can't pay this back, you can't feed your family, you can't live, you know what I'm saying? So you see how this is all interconnected. It says percent of borrowers who contemplated suicide by debt amount. So I'm not sure exactly how they came up with these numbers here. But it says individual student debt burden. So wherever this survey came from, this is very unfortunate. And so we have percentage of borrowers who contemplated. So it looks like, according to this graph here, those that have borrowed $80,000 to $150,000 of student loan debt appear to be like leading the way in those that are contemplating. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure how this reads. Somebody let me know if I'm reading this wrong, but it looks like those that are in the middle of the category, which seems to be the highest percentage of borrowers, are probably at not having a good time trying to pay that stuff back. And then at the very end, we got $500,000 to $600,000 in student debt. Yeah. It says by profession. So wow. It says by profession. Here are how many answer yes to whether they consider suicide due to their student loans. And so it looks like dentists and veterinarians are leading the pack, with lawyers in the middle, physicians and pharmacists. So dentists and veterinarians seem to be leading the pack of those that have thought about contemplated suicide. Yeah, so this is man, and those are, I guess, all jobs that prior to them people going into that line of work or looking to go into that line of work didn't realize the cost, because I would imagine that $500,000-$600,000 of student loan debt probably happens to be up in this upper echelon here of people that's had or experienced those type of feelings and thoughts. So man, what are your thoughts on that? Let me know. Somebody call in, let me know. Call in, let me know your thoughts on that, because there's a lot of people out there who basically did everything they were told. They either have an interest, have a passion, or have some type of plan on becoming a dentist, a veterinarian, because they love animals or whatever, and going through the process realize that, hey, perhaps I might not be able to pay this back as easily for multiple reasons. I would imagine one is that perhaps they finished with school and realize that what they will be making may not necessarily be able to take much of a chunk out of that, and as well as them to start a life, living, working, marriage, kids. So yeah, something has to give, and unfortunately people have thought about ending it all. So definitely need to pray and intercede on behalf of people like that. But once again, I'm rambling too much, so unless somebody call in or let me know what's going on in the chat, I might be going on a rambling spree. But it says, what else we got here? 400,000 before Christmas. It says education is a waste. Look at Zuckerberg, Nipsey. A bachelor's degree pays the same as it did 30 years ago. Yeah, so I've actually had some interesting conversation over the last couple of days about the future of education and whether or not this generation here should really continue on that pathway of higher learning when higher learning doesn't guarantee anything anymore. Because to me now, a college degree has the feel, and it has a feel of basically, just going to college. Just going to high school. I remember back in the day, from what I remember hearing about, you get out of high school, it was time to go in the plant. It was time to go into your workforce because you were able to get a solid job at a plant or whatever, making decent money to feed your family. Whereas now, yeah, when you get out of college, you're not guaranteed anything. So nevertheless, high school. So definitely trade school. There's a lot of trades, I think, that people should look into, and it'd be worthwhile for there to be more of a push along with college now for people to take a career path doing some type of specific trade, especially since we're running this deficit, computers, electronics. You don't need a college degree to be able to repair, fix, and build and make those type of items there. So, but what else is going on here? We got another article here. Let me open this article up. Jeff, I appreciate you, as always, sending these articles. And let's see what this one is. Oh, no. Oh, no. More. Oh, Jeff. No more of this, man. All right. Here we go. So, retail apocalypse. So, this is from Business Insider. And so, I think we probably hit this one before. But once again, this plays into just the slowing down of the economy. That this is like a mall where the roof probably, gave way and it's snow all inside the mall. And so I wonder how many of these are in your area. So for those that are watching, if you are in a metropolitan area or wherever you might be, is there a mall anywhere near your residence or anywhere that you're familiar with that used to be thriving a decade ago, pre-Great Recession, but now all of a sudden might be closed or on the verge of closing? Feel free to let me know in the chat. I'll be curious to find out, am I the only one that is familiar with a couple malls in my area that's no longer operational? So the retail apocalypse is far from over as analysts predict 75,000 more store closures. So yeah, and what's even probably worse about this scenario here is that I remember when I was younger, and I'm assuming you might be able to agree as well, but malls used to be ideal for high school students or college students in the summertime to go get a summer job or something like that at a mall, and whatever store was your favorite store, because you probably did it more so for the discount. And so now we've had people actually in the retail industry as their primary careers, whether they have went to school or not or did not, but yet those people, that's a whole nother tier of society that we are either educated or not educated from a sense of having a degree that will be out of the workforce right here. So if you do not have any type of skill set to offer society and you can't get one of these jobs because the stores are closing, then what do you do? Like what options are there for people to actually be able to sustain themselves in this environment where, I guess the going hourly wage that people think is doable is $15 an hour, as if that's really going to cut it for a lot of people. So, but yeah, this is this is what's going on, man. This is what is going on. Let me get back to the chat a little bit. I feel like I'm rambling again. I apologize. What else we got here? It says that we have 3 malls, only one is busy. Really? Wow. It says that's a great express. It says dead Bell, dead mall series. Dan Bell, dead mall series. It says between the economy collapsing and World War III coming into fruition, people better get prepared. Time is running out. Yeah, time is running out. Interesting. Says, let me see, Terre Haute, Indiana, the anchor stores are all gone. The mall days here are numbered. Chrysler just announced another layoff today. Jeff, man, come on now. Stop with the bad news. Let me Google this, man, and find out what's going on. So let me see here. I'm on, it's nearly 1,400 workers. I'm employable, and I'm going to be. Nearly 1,400 auto workers. Says nearly 1,400 will lose their jobs at Illinois plant. So, okay, so I see this. Let me open this up here. Yeah, man. This is this could be kinda is sorta would you say it's depressing? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just not good news. It's not happy-go-lucky news. I mean, is any news out there that somebody can send me that would, put a smile on all our faces? But here we have from the Herald and Review, it says nearly 1,400 auto workers are about to lose their jobs at Illinois plant. In Belvidere assembly plant near Rockford, the nearly 1,400 members of the C crew will punch out for the last time, downsized out of a job because of slowing demand for the plant's only product, the Jeep Cherokee. So 1,400 people will be unemployed because of a slowing demand for the plant's only product, the Jeep Cherokee. So this plays into what I just mentioned earlier. If no one's buying vehicles, or no one's really buying vehicles anyway, they're financing vehicles. But if no one's financing vehicles, then there's already an excess of cars that are just parked that will not be purchased by anybody. Then there's going to be thousands of people that are in the car manufacturing industry that will face some type of slowdown, shift cut, or something like that. And then that leads to corporate. And then you're going to have all the executives offering buyout packages like GM a couple months ago, which I'm assuming is probably still going on. Then you're going to have all the suppliers. And so, yeah, it's all interconnected. So here we have a quote from somebody. It says, quote, "I'm scared," said Mike Dovey, 57 of Popular Grove, whose 2 years at the plant end on Saturday. He's quoted as saying, "There's a lot of uncertainty. You don't have a job. You still got to pay all your bills." And so, man, that's just that statement there, because this is a gentleman that probably had no clue that the manufacturing industry in and of itself is something that has run its course in our current society because of consumption, the debt cycle pretty much coming to an end as we've known it, to where, there's going to be a lot of people on the outside looking in. And, yeah. More of that unfortunate news. What else we got going on? It says, Spirit Kid says, people are saying your phone line is down. My phone line is down. It looks to be open to me. Let me see here. Can't call in. Let me see. The number should be good. I'm looked at the phone service is open. I haven't missed any calls, so feel free to call in and I'll keep my eye on it. But I haven't missed any calls, so we should be good to go. But Spirit, I appreciate you letting me know that. So the phone line should be open. What else it says? What about people getting arrested for not getting vaccinated? Jazz, I am not aware of that. I didn't know. Let me look that up. It's a crime. It's a crime there. What are the laws around vaccines and kids? I didn't know that you can get arrested. It says anti-vaxxers are dangerous, make the face isolation fade, and so package arrest, make, and sexual. Yeah. So I don't see any articles that pops up right away for that. Send me something if you know of directly of a story or something. Curious to find out what that's all about. But definitely, I think I might be wrong, but I heard California, it's you have to get your children vaccinated or something like that, but not sure. Let me know, any of my California people. It says, what the hell is pumping up the bond market? The plunge protection team is pumping it. Who else? And that's the thing, like today, for example, the Dow took a little dip. Pretty much every stock market took a little dip, but yet for some reason I was reading that it kind of, caught a little momentum towards the end of the day. And yeah, and so, so as I mentioned, for those that may have come on late, I was actually did an interview with Alistair McLeod and just basically getting his thoughts. And this guy I've been following for a while. He's been on the channel before. And so I was asking him his thoughts on where all this is heading. And he was basically saying that based upon the trend, what he sees happening by the end of this year or definitely by next year is ultimately at least the equities market is halving in comparison where it's at now. So basically losing 50%. And I'm thinking like that's probably at the bare minimum. And so I'm not sure if it'll lose half before it pumps back up, or it'll continue to. We'll get some type of momentum from some type of QE come, summer, spring, or fall, or winter. This whole presidential cycle when things really slow down, And then from like 30,000 down, it'll cut to 15 or 30-some thousand it dropped or what. But, you know, and just hearing his explanation as to how it's probably likely, I'm like, well, damn, that's just not necessarily, I'm sure, something people want to hear. But it's one of the things where I'd rather hear it than not hear it. I'd rather hear it than not hear it. Let me see what this article is from Mr. Spirit. Nuclear arms race. And so here's from Quartz, and it says the U.S. has started a nuclear arms race since Trump pulled out of the INF treaty. Nuclear arms race. And so here's my question is, what are we racing to, really? Because we're already a nuclear power, even though I heard a lot of our stuff is outdated and old and decrepit, but still, it says the new missiles will guarantee a usable U.S. nuclear arsenal through at least 2075. At least 2075, and it's 2019. And so basically, this race is something that's supposed to be positioning us as what? We're supposed to have the most nukes or something like that amongst everybody. And at the end of the day, apart from this military industrialized complex of greed and all the powers that be that starts the problems and tries to end them as well, to basically control population and everything else. But I'm thinking like this planet is not necessarily, it's not really a big planet anymore because everything's connected. You're a phone call away from everybody. Russia, China, I mean, these are people that's not too far from us in the bigger picture. And so we only have one Earth to share together. I'm like wondering, why can't, apart from, I know this is all part of the plan, but it's just unfortunate that we can't come to agreement on the fact that no one should ever want to go nuclear. And there should be no need to go nuclear. Somebody let me know, but I don't think there's no issue that we shouldn't be able to sit down at a table and talk country to country, man to man, woman to woman, or whatever, and come up with a solution without having to mention nuclear and all that stuff that comes with that, because there's no real recovery from going nuclear. But then it says who benefits. It says, what does it say to the rest of the world? Asked Snyder that everybody should be buying new missiles. BAE Systems, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. So all these companies right here. So basically, this article pinpoints as to who benefits from nuclear arsenal improvements. So number of contracts, BAE got 7. Lockheed Martin gets 36 contracts for $26.7 million. Raytheon got 44. And so, man, like these are the people that are responsible for basically trying to eradicate the earth of mankind in general. Man, this is boring. This is not good news. This is sad. This is making me sad. It says Dow moved up 450 points. It says $2 trillion to build broken bridges. We live on a plane. A planet, whatever we're on, whatever, I don't really get into the flat earth and all that stuff like that because I don't really care. But we only got one of them in this current life. And the fact that there's people out there that want to diminish a portion of the population for their own benefits is not necessarily something that's an enjoyable conversation. It said, does the Bible speak of a nuclear war? Charlie G. In Revelation, it talks about the end days and the things that take place, but it's more so a spiritual battle amongst the Antichrist and the fallen angels and just all that demonic stuff, which I imagine, as a part of the Antichrist's war against Israel, they're going to go nuclear. So I think was it Gog and Magog, which is the China-Russia region. I think they will probably be sending something hot towards Israel, I think. I don't remember offhand. But I don't doubt it. Jazz Leno, the third temple of the Antichrist. Yep, so that temple it will be completed before everything really gets rolling, according to biblical prophecy. It says, as the article says, in the 3 months since Trump left the treaty, the U.S. already spent $1 billion more in weapons worldwide. In just 3 months, the increase was $100 billion. So yeah, everybody's arming themselves with nuclear weapons. And so the question is, once you shoot them at each other, there's no there's no return back to any sense of normalcy, because that's going to be contaminated, radiated land and everything else for, if I'm not mistaken, it's several years, if not decades, before that whole radiation aspect is manageable. But yeah, we got here, Shark Side of the Moon says, I've always thought about the regime change as a gun confiscation on a grand scale to support the globalist agenda. Yeah, and so I haven't. Is there any new gun confiscation talk out there? Because I'd imagine that before anything really jumps off, they're going to still continue to disarm the population. So, yeah, it says, Mike, you already know God will set down all these tyrants and that they will shred in blood, shall reap with them. So we are all watching the fall of America. The chaos and confusion of leadership is clear. Yeah. And so, yeah, so, thinking about it from that side of things, it's not really, it is what it is, man. Like, it's above my head. And that's why I prefer to take more of the spiritual faith route of just believing that, God has got everything under control. And, definitely I don't think nothing will surprise him ultimately. Says, just watch a video on Sweden government telling people to hold cash. How much should a family of 4 have on hand, in your opinion? Brian. A good question, man. That's something I would definitely love to touch on. So I think if you guys don't remember, if you go to the RTD Live little archive, there's a gentleman, Brian the banker, that called in. Might be a viewer. Brian, if you're on, let me know. But he was saying that he's in the banking industry, and he was, according to his study, his sources or whatnot from being behind the scenes, he was saying that it's good to have, of course, smaller denominations. And, of course, I don't think there's an actual amount that you can say, okay, this would be good or that would be good. But it's more so, how long will those notes be useful? And, how much do you need for your current lifestyle or to sustain your current lifestyle? So for emergency sakes, for food, water, shelter, all stuff like that, I think he was saying, I think he said 5s and 10s notes were ideal, because there might not be a likely situation where there'll be enough change. And so I'd imagine, of course, 1s, 5s, 10s would be ideal, but I wouldn't even begin to know how much based upon whatever it is and however long you might want to sustain yourself. So let me see. I've had Leor Gantz on before talking about how he allocates things, and he was saying he keeps 6 months of emergency funds in cash. And so I don't know, big bills, small bills, but if he's saying 6 months, and he has a family, and so the more I would say, just my guess, the more you can set aside in small notes, the better off you'll be, as well as making sure you have all the other things, because I think we're gonna just the lack of cash might be a short-term thing, because the government, like in prior scenarios, when there's a shortage of cash, they then tend to try to meet that need by creating additional cash without there actually being anything keeping them from actually printing up too much. Therefore, having too much cash become a problem, especially if people realize that the cash is their problem and look to not accept it or whatnot. So you don't want to be holding too much. So yeah, that's a magical number, man. I would wonder, does anybody out there have any thoughts on an ideal amount of 5s, 10s, 1s? Is it more of a time frame or what? I'm curious to find out what you guys think. I would say several months worth of at least money for food, depending on how and what, and you can actually get a hold of it. So that's just my thought there, man. There's no science to it. It's all just an opinion, because here in this side of the planet, we haven't really had the situation that other nations have had for us to actually use as an example. So, but I'm curious to find out what people think. Cash won't last long. They're thinking of banning ammo or making it extremely expensive. Yeah, I can see the expensive part. it'd be hard to remove ammunition out of circulation because it would then probably circulate in the form of cash or barter because people, I'm assuming, would be willing to exchange a box of bullets at a very hefty premium in the case of as if it was actual bullion itself. What else we got here? It says that reason I place human survival at least 1% people are stupid, period. That's kind of mean there, Spirit. Mike, you follow the Game of Thrones? Low blood. I do not follow Game of Thrones at all. Other than just hearing about it, I don't know much about it at all. It says silver and gold will be the only thing left, but society will end up trading and bartering goods. I agree 100%. It says I heard to keep all $1 bills, then asked them why they shared that thought. All $1 bills. You're gonna have some, and if you have a lot of them, you're gonna have bricks and bundles of $1 bills, and then it's gonna be a matter of breaking them off, like just to meet whatever need. So I can see that being kind of difficult. That's why having some 5s and 10s, I think, would help that out a little bit. It says most people can't save $500 nowadays, but much less money for 6 people trying to get by. King, good point there. Good point there. Sound like a control mechanism. Omni, you mean the older creator big divide his people. $1 silver egos. Yeah, I don't really think people are going to really want to move their egos like that, especially if you don't know the true price of an eagle when stuff hits the fan of that magnitude. So that's why I always mentioned the importance of having little small 1 gram silver bars, and definitely when it comes to gold, having 1 gram, if not smaller, in gold would help because if gold is a true wealth transfer mechanism of large denominations, you wouldn't want to really touch your gold, so you're going to want to move your smaller pieces of silver, in my opinion. But we have an article here. Let's see what this is about. So this is from Mr. Michael Snyder. It says, I dare you to tell me the economy is booming after reading this list of 19 facts about our current economic performance. 19 facts. Let's see what they are. It says the following are 19 facts about our current economic performance that should deeply disturb all of us. And number 1, it says in April, U.S. auto sales were down 6.1%. That was the worst decline in 8 years. Fact. The number of mortgage applications have fallen for 4 weeks in a row. Fact. We just witnessed the largest crash in luxury home sales in about 9 years. Fact. Existing home sales have not fallen for 13 months in a row, have now fallen for 13 months in a row. It says in March, total residential construction spending was down. U.S. manufacturing output was down. Farm incomes are falling. Wisconsin dairy farmers are going bankrupt. Apple iPhone sales are falling at a record pace. I'm not even mad about the Apple iPhone sales. I mentioned that the other day of how just off sheer competition, apart from just being a loyal fan to Apple, who the hell would buy an Apple for $1,000? I'm sure people do. Forgive me if you are an Apple fan. It says Facebook profits has declined for the first time since 2015. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how Facebook as a company was planning on being profitable long term when they're it's just entertainment. Like they add no value to society whatsoever. We just learned that CVS will be closing 46 stores. Office Depot has announced they will be closing 50 stores. U.S. retailers have announced more than 6,000 closures. The shocking news today has discovered that 137 million Americans have experienced medical financial hardship in the past year. Credit card charge-offs as U.S. banks have risen to the highest in 7 years. Credit card charge-offs. Credit card delinquencies have risen to the highest level in 8 years. More than half a million Americans are homeless. Homelessness in New York City is the worst it's ever been. And number 19, it says nearly 102 million Americans do not have a job right now. So 102 million Americans out of 300 and something Americans do not have employment. And it will not get any better anytime soon, in my opinion. So I'm wondering, according to everybody here, how many people have tried to call in and the phone did not work because it hasn't rung on my end. So I'm trying to think, did my phone get cut off, even though it's already supposed to be paid for the year? It says, let me see, it says the market was down 400 points but closed only 60 points off. Interesting. This is crazy propping up. I buy Apple because I sometimes make apps. In a sense, I make money with it and cringe at the 1,000 iPhones. Yeah, Spirit King. That's real, man. And so that's right there. You know, if you make apps, then hey, that's you're adding value to their service. So that's legit. It's properly termed managed markets. Managed and manipulated markets. You must have Boost Mobile. Interesting. No boost. People call multiple times, just reboot, start, and the phone line and modem. Yeah, so but it's Skype, so it's not like it's something that it's got just a Skype that I paid for a number for a year. So apart from now, it's always worked. So I can try logging out and logging back in, but it says that I'm on. So we didn't leave it at that. But anyway, it's 45 minutes. We're running a little late as always. But with that being the case, as always, people, it's been great hanging out this evening, and a lot of dark, dim news, man. If you might come across some good news out there, feel free to leave a comment beneath this video here, because I don't want to be spared. I don't seem like the type of guy that just loves spreading bad news to people. That's just not me. I think that being aware of all these situations gives us a chance to be able to prepare and to do some things different than those who have no clue. So definitely, I think we should be sharing positive information with people, but also keeping it real, telling them that things are changing, and that depending on what line of work you're in, you might be impacted directly. So you need to diversify spread and have multiple incomes coming in if you can, just to hedge against what's already happening. So anyway, with that being the case, people, it's been great hanging out this evening. Be blessed, be safe. As always, I forgot to ask, for those that have enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button just to donate a thumbs up. Appreciate the support. And other than that, be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you guys then. Enjoy your evening.